there has been a change in the way that people view the technology industry. How are the Tiger Cubs doing in this regard? It seems like they're putting a little more money to work.
Yes, so if you look at Co2, pretty active, buying 29 positions, exiting 15, took a sizable stake in Salesforce. It's now its 11th biggest holding with about $500 million, so pretty sizable. They also took a position in Apple and also in Domino's Pizza. But if we look at Tiger Global, a lot less activity over there. They sold out of 11 stocks. They bought only 2 new positions, relatively small ones. Their general exposure to the equity market ticked up, but only a little bit. So we're seeing muted action over at Tiger Global.
There's a lot of conversation too about Michael Burry and his stake when it comes to Chinese technology companies, his interest there. How much does that jive with what else you're seeing in the hedge fund community?
Yes, it was really interesting because he bought a decent amount of Alibaba and JD.com shares. He amped up his Alibaba position by about 50%, so it was pretty sizable now. So you're seeing some bullishness there from him in Asia, in Asia tech, but those stocks haven't really panned out very well for him. They've both tumbled since then, and he's also dropped some of his bearish positions. So we are seeing some interesting moves on that side of things. We haven't seen a lot necessarily of push into Asia, but it's interesting what Michael Burry is doing for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've also seen, for example, let's talk about the family office side of things. I like to watch these more and more these days because of how many hedge funds have converted in recent years. You did see Stanley Druckenmiller's Duquesne sell out of Alibaba. Conversely, what else are we seeing in the family office space?
So biotech, a really interesting trend that we're seeing from the family offices. Merck and Eli Lilly, positive increased positions over with Soros. And so you're also seeing some tech positions with ARM Holdings, which is a chip designer, and that's another move that George Soros' family office made. You're seeing Zuckerberg's family office adding to their stake in a tech company called Neumora Therapeutics. So you're seeing some biotech and pharma trends there with the family offices.
It's interesting. It's back to the hedge fund universe. We're talking about Tiger. We're talking about Co2. Another highly watched one these days is Viking.
Yes.
How are they positioning in this environment?
So what's interesting with Viking is they actually sold out of their stake in Meta entirely, and you're seeing that stock seeing some trending downwards in that people are selling out of that position. But I think many reasons why funds are selling out of that stake a bit is because of portfolio management, because the stock's done pretty well over a while, and maybe because they want to take some profits. But so it's interesting to see that Viking got out of that position entirely, which is a bit more of an unusual move.
We watch these specific Tiger Cubs and big names, but what about an aggregate?
Yes.
Were there any gleanings that you had that could be interesting, especially given these filings were for the end of last year?
Yes, so that's a very good point. This data is backwards looking. So it's through the end of December. It's not where these funds are necessarily positioned at the moment, but we did see a lot of push into tech. So Amazon being a really popular buy, NVIDIA being a popular buy. And so these are trends that we tend to see around this time of year anyway, but do keep in mind that we don't see short positions, and it is a limited and a bit more of a retrospective view of the hedge fund universe.
And at the end of last year, we certainly know that there was certainly that market melt up. Thank you so very much, Hema Parmar, for keeping an eye on that hedge fund community so closely.